Here's the third part of my story that I like to call Chapter 3 Life Change. Here comes my favorite part of the story. This is what saved my life. This part of the story takes place right after my friends stopped talking to me when I stopped entertaining them. I was alone for a few months in school. At lunch, everyone would walk past me, not saying anything, and not notice me. I felt like I didn't exist anymore. I had words come into mind from one of my favorite James Bond movies. The words that came to my mind was, "There's no point in living if you can't feel alive." Not too long after, something unbelievable happened. A girl that was my age came to my lunch table and sat down and said that I looked lonely. I felt something inside that I have never felt before. I felt warmth from the inside. We both had a good conversation about ourselves, telling each other about the fun things we had in life. I obviously lied to her about them fun things that happened to me. I didn't want to scare her away and become alone again. She asked me if I would like to go to church with her, and obviously I would, since she's the only person that was a real friend that had noticed me. It was Sunday night at 10 p.m. Her father came over in a car, and she brought me a plate of delicious peanut butter cookies, and we drove off to church. We both went to a church named Lakeview, and it was an evangelical type of church. Right then, right when I came in, everyone had a smile on their face and greeted me with a handshake and asked me how I was doing. Being around a lot of positive people kind of made me feel a bit uneasy at first, since I wasn't used to positive emotions. The girl I came to church with, she said that this is part of the youth group at church and you'll have a lot of fun. That night, the youth group got into a small white bus and we drove over to a gas station to visit a youth group member at his work. We completely surprised him at his work. And then I started to think of how cool is this? I'm around a bunch of people that seem happy, caring, and positive. Their positive emotions had completely overwhelmed me, making me feel happy and content. It's like all that negative emotion that I had was gone instantly. When we got back to church, we played a couple of games of mushroom tag, which is a game that's almost like dodgeball in the gym. After a couple of games, we gone to the youth group room, and there was a stage that had music instruments and had chairs surrounding the stage. We all sat down around the stage, and the lights had dimmed, and a few members of the youth group came onto the stage and gotten into place, each one with a music instrument, and then words came out onto the screen, and music started to play, and everyone began to sing Christian rock songs. I started to feel a lot more warmth on the inside, and I began to sing along with the group. While I was singing, I had a lot of thoughts and mixed emotions, and I never felt this way in my life. I've never felt this kind of happiness before. After the last song ended, the youth pastor came onto stage sharing a message from the Bible. That message was from the beginning of the Bible, from Genesis, with Adam and Eve. There was a message that really interested me, the story about Cain and Abel. Cain was a jealous brother towards Abel. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. At the harvest, Cain gave God his farm produce as a gift, and Abel brought several choice lambs from the best flock to give as a gift to God. God accepted Abel and his offering, but he did not accept Cain and his offering. Cain became angry and jealous of his brother Abel. Then soon Cain attacked and killed Abel. The story reminded me of the anger that I had towards my brother for what he has done to me. I was thinking about what life would have been like without my brother around. One of the thoughts I had was that if my brother never abused me, then I probably never would have met these kind people. The other thought that I had was where my life would be if I never had a brother. The thought I had is that without my brother, I might have been more selfish in life. I might have been more popular in school, but would do constant teasing to other people. In my life, there was two things that have saved me. Another person's care and courage. It was very rare for a person to have courage to talk to others who are alone, but showing the little amount of care to that person can change that person's life instantly. I do admit that I did fall in love with that girl instantly, just from the care that I felt. From this care, I felt alive. I felt free. I felt happy. I felt care. And I felt warm. Sadly, this isn't where my story ends. There's still much to tell. I'll say this as a hint for the future part of this story. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything. Let's just say that life is like climbing up a mountain. As a person climbs up a mountain, sometimes they can slide down from the falling rocks. Let me tell you of the biggest part of my life that caused me to help others that needed care in their life. I was at the age of 16 and just gotten done with 11th grade and was still enjoying the happiness in life. My church youth group had a church event called Nationals. Nationals is a week-long event where several youth groups from across the U.S. we all got together in Indiana at Purdue University. We had Christian singers and guest speakers gather to share their message in life of the good positive changes that helped them. I'll fast forward a little bit to the biggest part that really changed me. We had a guest speaker named Mark Cahill, and his message was about death. Every 2 seconds, 16 people die. And when you place your head on the pillow tonight, over 1,600,000 people will die and walk off into eternity, heaven or hell as we speak. Do you care? Do you care enough to do something about it? I took those words to heart. I looked into the past and saw how I used to be depressed and alone to the point of my life where feeling care has saved my life. Those words he said made me think about other people's emotions and thought that there are more people that are suffering like how I was. Several things can kill a person, either by ending their own life, dying of old age, from anything that's medical, by accidents, or by murder. The next big message that the guest speaker had said, when you're on your deathbed, what would your final words be? Could them words change a person? I thought about all the suffering from my past again. This time I thought of what it would be like for me to forgive my brother. I thought maybe something like that to say to my brother may change his life. Mark had said to all of us that he wants us all to think of what he has said that night and to leave the auditorium in silence, and he left the stage. I looked around me and saw everyone from my youth group. They got up and started to cry on each other's shoulders. I was still sitting down, and I was on my own. The youth pastor waved for me to come outside with him, and I did just that. When I went outside, the youth pastor placed his hands on my shoulders and was praying out loud for me and my mom to accept Christ into our life, and also thank God for the message that was shared. My knees went weak, and my body started to shake uncontrollably. All the guys from the youth group came over and gave me a big group hug, and one member of the youth group was holding me from behind, crying and praying for me. A few moments later, I fell to my knees, and I looked straight up into the sky, looking up into the clouds, and thanked God for all that He has given me in this life, and thanked Him for all the good and bad things that happened in my life. When I got back up onto my feet, instantly a nearby church bell began to ring. I started to smile for the first time in my life, and this smile was unstoppable. Not once in my life have I ever felt this much care and so much happiness. The ice from my body was completely gone and melted away, and was completely filled with warmth. I've made a lot of good friends from my youth group that day, and most importantly, I wasn't alone. Helping others feel care can do a whole lot for them. Not only save their life, but would help them save other people's lives from depression and from being alone.